Welcome to section 9.4. This is the 75th session of the CISSP exam prep series. In this session, we'll turn the spotlight from the server to the endpoint. We'll answer several questions. What actually is a client-side attack? What is mobile code, and why do applets cut both ways? Why does JavaScript deserve special caution? How do browsers try to contain it, and how do local caches get poisoned? Why does this matter beyond the exam? Because your users click, and their browsers run other people's code all day long. Picture a sales team browsing supplier sites on their laptops. Every page they open can quietly hand code to their machines. On the job, you are the one who hardens that endpoint and decides what running code is allowed to touch. The client is where the human meets the hostile web, and that is where many breaches begin. So what actually is a client-side attack? It is any attack that targets the client itself rather than the server. Most people picture the server as the prize, but here the client, or a process running on it, is the bullseye. A classic example is a malicious website that pushes harmful code into a vulnerable browser, and it is not limited to web traffic. These attacks can ride any communication protocol, and even the client's local caches can be poisoned. Think of a burglar who ignores the well-guarded warehouse and instead targets the delivery van parked outside it. What is mobile code, and why do applets cut both ways? Mobile code is a small, self-contained program sent from a server to run on the client. An applet is exactly that, code that executes independently on your machine. The appeal is real. Offloading work to the client frees the server, speeds up the response, and can even keep the user's input private by processing it locally. Imagine a loan estimator that runs entirely in your browser, so your financial figures never travel back to the server. But there is a sharp edge. Anytime you run someone else's code, you risk it being malicious or flawed, and short of reading it line by line, you cannot be sure it hides no Trojan or backdoor. Older forms like Java applets and one legacy browser control are largely retired now, but you should still confirm rather than assume they are gone. Think of accepting a sealed gift that does a helpful job, while never being certain what else is ticking inside it. Why does JavaScript deserve special caution? Because it is the most widely used web scripting language, embedded directly inside the pages you visit and downloaded automatically with them. It powers the dynamic behavior of nearly every modern site, which is exactly why attackers love it. Since the script arrives inside the page delivered to your browser, a threat actor can build a convincing fake site and tamper with that code to steal or clone your credentials. Attackers have also found ways to break out of the protections meant to contain it. So any script from an untrusted source is a genuine risk to your system. Think of a helpful assistant who reads every note handed to them out loud. Useful, until someone slips in a note that says to read your passwords aloud too. How do browsers try to contain it? Through a couple of built-in guardrails, backed by choices you make. Browsers run scripts inside a sandbox that limits them to web-related actions, and they enforce the same origin policy, which blocks a script from reaching content that comes from a different origin. An origin is the combination of protocol, domain, and port. And if any one of those differs, access is denied. On top of that, you keep browsers updated, lean on hardened script libraries on the server side, and deploy a content security policy that rigidly enforces those origin rules. Watch for injected script in anything a server receives, and remember that turning JavaScript off entirely would break most of the web. Think of a guest allowed only in the lobby, never the back offices, with a posted rule that they may speak only to people from their own company. How do local caches get poisoned? A browser stores downloaded files in a local cache for reuse, and that convenience is also an opening. Certain attacks can trick the client into saving content that was never part of the page you asked for, and once a cached item is poisoned, even a legitimate page that calls on it will trigger the malicious content. The browser is supposed to manage that cache, but its defaults favor speed over safety. So tighten it. Shorten how long files are kept, shrink the cache size, and disable content preloading. You can also clear cookies and cache on exit, or use a tool that wipes temporary files automatically on a schedule. Just know these tighter settings can slow browsing on slow connections. Think of a fridge that keeps leftovers far too long. Cleaning it out often is inconvenient, but it stops something spoiled from making it back onto your plate. So let's bring it together. A client-side attack aims at the endpoint, not the server, and can travel over any protocol. Mobile code and applets offer real performance gains, but force you to trust code you did not write. JavaScript is everywhere and powerful, which makes it a favorite target. So browsers contain it with sandboxing and the same origin policy, while you add updates and a content security policy. And local caches can be poisoned, so manage them tightly rather than trusting the defaults. Treat the client as a frontier, and you defend the place where your users actually live. The MCQs covering all the topics and concepts from this session are available on roocloud.com. Practice the chapter-specific MCQs before moving on to the next session. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions or feedback, post a comment below or email us. I will see you in the next session.